everybody. I'm Dana. This is
Third.
Vanessa. We're going to go over some lower extremity leg exercises, starting with a seated leg extension. You could do this standing, but it's a lot more complicated. What Vanessa's doing here, we'll talk about this first. She's just extending her knee, and she's actively pulling her right toes back towards her face. So the muscles she's working here are the muscles on the tops of the thigh. Those are called the quadriceps. Those muscles are really important when you're walking. And by actively pulling her toes back, she's working her anterior tibialis. That muscle is really important and helps pull the toes up when you're walking, really during every step that you take. You wanted to challenge yourself a little bit more standing. You can just lift your leg up, finding a little balance here. This is a lot harder. You can hold onto a wall or a pole. And the next exercise actually is called a sit to stand, and we're going to use a pole. I said on the outline that you could use a broomstick. Most of them unscrew, so you would just take the broom part off and use your stick. We've got a mop here, we improvised. And she's going to hold that in front, two hands, abs tight, legs engaged. She's just going to stand up and sit back down. So another way to do this, if you had a little bit more strength, you could do it standing, holding the pole, holding the wall. You can just do a little squat, flexing the hips, flexing the knees, and standing up. So flexing the hips, and the knees, and standing up tall. So a little bit harder standing, especially if you go really low. It's important that you have the seat adjusted properly. Vanessa's a little taller than me, so we raised the seat up for her. And the lower you go with your seat, the more challenging it is. So keep that in mind. Play around with that, and you can set it up so that it works for you. Next, Vanessa's going to have a seat, and we're going to do a seated clamshell with a flex band. So she's going to wrap this band around her thighs, cross it over, hold one end of it in each hand. She's sitting up tall, so your posture is important, and she's pressing out on the band, abducting the legs. And we're working the muscles on the outsides of the hips and the thighs here, which are important to stabilize you during walking and just all your activities of daily living. Bending over, squatting down, even if it's just a little bit, the muscles on the outsides of the hips are constantly working to support you. So it's important to keep those strengthened and stretched out a little bit, but we'll talk about that later. Next, we have hip hikers. So I'm going to demonstrate this seated, which Vanessa and I discovered it's a little more complicated seated, but you can try it. You're sitting up tall, and you're lifting, you can hold on to your chair, and you're lifting one sit bone up, and setting it back down, and hiking your hip up and down. So that's more challenging than I thought it would be. Standing is a little more intuitive, and I'm going to have Vanessa demonstrate that. She's holding on to the end of the frame on a piece of my Pilates equipment in the studio, and you guys can't see. I'm going to move this. She's standing on just a little platform. At home, you can do this on a step. And so you guys can see her hips. One hip is coming up and down. She's doing the other side. Both of her legs stay straight. So that's the important part. Both legs stay straight. The movement comes from the hip on the support leg. So that's a hip hiker, everybody. We're also going to stay over here, and Vanessa's going to demonstrate calf raises. So you, again, could do this against a wall. You have, I'm going to pan down to her feet so you guys can see what her ankles are doing. She's just lifting her heels up and down. She's in good posture.
Yeah, we talked about maybe doing this on a stair, right, Dana?
On a stair?
Yeah.
You even told me that you had a sturdy book and you wrapped it. So
Yeah.
if that's all you had, you could do that as well. All right. That's it for legs, everybody. Thank you. The next section
that we're leading into is abdominals.
All right, everybody, we've got some core exercises lined up. We're going to start with the twist. I'm seated, Vanessa's standing for this one. You can do it either way. You're going to reach your arms out to the side, and you're just going to activate your abdominals, twist one way. Think of tightening your abs, pulling your belly button in and up. Try to sit up as best you can. And breathe. Blow out your air as you rotate. Breathe in as you bring it to center. All right. The next one we have, you want to make sure that you're in a chair that doesn't move or your chair is locked in. You're going to slide forward on your seat. You can reach your arms forward and you're just going to lean back. Make sure you don't lean back too far, just enough to where you feel your abdominals working, and lean forward and lean back and lean forward. On either one of the last two exercises, if holding your arms up is too difficult, you can always just stack the arms up here like this, even on the twist, shortening the lever. The last one I'm going to have Vanessa show you. We have a band hooked up to the frame. You could hook it up to a doorknob, a door that doesn't open, or make sure you lock the door. I'm going to pan over so you can see her during this exercise here.
Or someone could hold it for you too, right? If they wanted to stand and hold it.
Yes, so somebody can hold the band. There it is, hooked up to the frame. And Vanessa is freestanding. She's holding one side of the band in each hand. And she's just going to bend at the waist and flex her hips a little bit, pulling the band back towards her hips. So this is abdominals, and it's a little bit of arms. The big muscles on your back are called your lats, just right behind your shoulders. Thanks, everybody. That's it for abs.
Upper extremity is next, everybody. Arms.
All right, now we have some arms. We're going to start with some scap squeezes. Scap is short for scapula. I'm going to show it with the band. You're going to wrap the band around your rib cage, standing. Vanessa's going to show it with the weights. I'm going to turn to the side so you guys can see my arms. So you're going to put some tension on the band. Make sure it's not too much. You're not bending the elbows. You're going to bring the shoulders forward and back, and forward and back.
It's a very tiny motion.
Yep.
Tell us why it's important, Dana.
So we're working the muscles here that support the scapula and help with your posture. So you don't get tense neck, or you're looking down at your phone, hunching over your upper back. Everybody does that. So we're working on the muscles that help really support the mid-back and the upper part of the body. So the next one we have, we're working the exact same muscles. It's a little bit easier to do. Vanessa, again, it's going to show with the weights. You're going to hold your band. I like to tuck my ends up, but my band is not doubled over. Doubled over would be too hard. Just going to pull the band apart across the front of the chest, and then bring it back to the center. And then out, and back in. We'll do that one more time. Squeezing the shoulder blades together, and back in.
Oh, the rhomboids in there too.
Yep.
In that area, okay.
Exactly. We are working the rhomboids, the middle trapezius, the muscles that just really keep that scapula laying flat on the rib cage and that help your posture. Next, we're going to work the upper arm. We're going to start with trying to follow my agenda, triceps. So if you have a hand weight, you can take one weight up to the ceiling. You're going to push it right up to the ceiling. I'm going to turn around so you guys can see how I'm holding my band. So with my left hand, I'm holding the band in place. With my right hand, I'm holding it up, and I'm pushing my hand up to the ceiling, extending my elbow. So we're working triceps here. All right. Moving on, we've got bicep curls. You can do these seated or standing. This exercise can be done under the feet, seated as well as standing. So if you want it a little easier, if you're standing up, you're just going to put it underneath one foot. I like to hold the ends of the band in between the index finger and the thumb. Standing up tall, you're going to just flex the elbows and extend. Flex and extend. Awesome. All right. The last couple we have here work the shoulder. shoulders. These might be two of the most challenging in the series. Again, I'm just going to switch my foot out just because. And one foot on the band is sufficient. You can do this seated with the band as well, or with the hand weights like Vanessa's doing. We're going to do front raises. So you're going to don't hold your band too tight. You're going to lift up and down. Don't forget to breathe. So you're breathing out as you lift and breathing in as you bring it down. We're going to go right into the last one here, which is a lateral raise. We're still working the shoulders. The arms are going to go out to the side and down and out to the side and down. We'll do one more. All right. Nice job, everybody.
We have stretching next, everybody. We're going to go over some stretching. So tips for stretching, all muscles get tight. It's important to breathe while you're stretching. Hold them for 30 seconds. 45 seconds is better for 1 to 3 repetitions.
All right, everybody, we're doing some stretching. I'm going to demonstrate the hip flexor stretch seated because I'm shorter than Vanessa, and this chair is just the right height for me. She's demonstrating it standing, so you could stand next to a wall or hold on to something like she's holding on to. And basically you're just going to put one leg behind you, one leg is forward and it's flexed, and you want to lean back a little bit into this stretch here. So make sure your chair is locked in and it's supporting you. We're working this area right here, stretching the hip flexors, the iliopsoas, and the rectus femoris, which get tight on a lot of people. So I'm going to let Vanessa demonstrate the other side. All right, next we have hamstrings. We're going to switch places here. Vanessa's going to sit and I'm going to stand. You can do this with or without a band. I'll give Vanessa a band here. Her hamstrings are pretty flexible, but if your hamstrings are not and you can't reach your toes and you want a little bit extra, you're going to wrap the band around the toes, and she's just going to flex forward at the waist, pulling on the band. The legs can be bent. Your hamstrings are really tight, they're going to be bent, or your legs can be straight. If you're doing this standing, you can find a spot next to a wall. You can use your broomstick to hold on to. You're going to shift your hips back, one leg comes forward, you're on your heel, and you're just leaning your body weight forward, using whatever you have to help you balance. Doing both sides. Another way to do this, especially if your hamstrings are really tight, you're going to take a wide base of support and you're just going to flex forward, shifting your hips back. So that also stretches the hamstrings there. The next one feels great. We're going to stretch the chest. So if you're seated in a chair, your chair is locked in, it's not moving, you're going to bring your hands behind you. If you're a little bit flexible through your shoulders, you can take a bind with your hands, slide it down your back, and lift your chest. So from the side, it looks like this. Then you can tip your chin up, stretching the front of the neck a little bit. If you're not that flexible and you're standing, you can just bring your hands to your hips and just think of lengthening the whole front of the body. All right. Next, we have some really important muscles to stretch because we're stretching the hips here. We're going to do the pigeon stretch. I'm going to grab my pole here for balance. You're going to cross one ankle over the other knee. If you're standing up, standing is much more challenging on this, so be careful. You're going to flex the hip, bend that knee on the support leg, and sit it down. Again, you can put both hands on a wall. This is still a little bit unstable. Making sure you do both sides. So Vanessa's pushing down on her knee in the seated position. That way you'll feel the stretch a little bit more. The next one is a little difficult for me to show standing, but Vanessa's going to show you seated. She's going to cross her right ankle up and over her left knee again. And I'll try, it might look kind of weird, but she's going to take her left hand to the outside of the right knee. She's going to pull that knee up and towards her left shoulder. So it's very similar to this stretch, but a little bit different because you're pulling up instead of pushing down. So this is also stretching the hip. The IT band connects. It's really part of the tensor fasciata in the hip. runs down the side of the leg to the outside of the knee here. It gets really tight, especially if you tend to walk with your gait a little more turned out. So these muscles on the outsides of the hips that run down to the knee get really tight. Last but not least, this one feels really great. We've got the seated three-way stretch. So Vanessa's going to demonstrate this one sitting. You could do the standing, but in my opinion, this just feels much better seated. So it's a dynamic stretch. She's leaning out and then back. And she's going to go three ways. She's going to move that over, lean out to the right.
Feels really good on the lower back. It's a nice stretch.
Stretches the lower back on the way out, and then it's working those back muscles. So you can move fluidly through that in each direction, however many times it feels good to you. So that's what we have for stretches. Thanks, everybody.
So balance is next, you guys.
All right, everybody, we're going to work on some balance. We have three things lined up. The first is the easiest thing. In yoga, we call it mountain pose. So you're just freestanding, your palms are facing forward. In anatomy, this is also called anatomical position. So if you can have your feet hip bone distance apart, that's great. If you need a little wider base of support, you can bring your legs wider. I'm going to go here, feet right underneath my hips. Go a little wider if you need to. You're stretching out all 10 fingers. Think of pressing your feet into the floor. Engage your legs, your thighs, your glutes. Try to lift your abdomen in and up. Lift your breastbone up, draw your shoulders down. Tuck your chin in and reach the crown of the head up to the ceiling so you feel really strong and zipped up. This is mountain pose. If you feel really comfortable here, you can play with closing your eyes. It's really important to breathe when you're balancing. You might notice that you wobble a little bit as you close your eyes. That's okay. You need to be next to something to help you balance. If your eyes are closed, float them open. Get near a wall or a countertop or something that you can hold on to. The next one that we have lined up is a little more challenging. It's called tandem stance. So tandem stance is exactly how it sounds. It sounds like you're walking on a tightrope. Vanessa, I'm going to pan over here so you guys can see. She is near the frame of my Pilates Cadillac, just in case she needs to hold on. We're going to have the heels and the toes lined up. I'm going to have my hands here at heart center, pressing the palms together. You would hold each side, so you do want to switch this out, 20 to 30 seconds on each side. You can play with your arms like Vanessa just did. That would challenge your balance. So keep in mind, anytime you change something, like closing your eyes or moving your arms, as Vanessa's doing, it's going to make the balance more challenging. So again, just like in the mountain pose, you want to find the elements of the mountain pose in every other balance that you do. So your legs are zipped up, abs are tight, chest is lifted, head is back. So that's tandem stance. Last but not least, we have stork stance. So stork stance sounds fun. We're going to progress this. Just standing on one foot, again, holding on to something if you need to. I'm going to keep my hands here at my center, pressing together. That does seem to help, especially if you're energetically pressing the palms together. On your support leg, you want to think of those muscles being fired up, your foot pressing into the floor, your abs are working, your hip flexors are working, and you're finding that good posture in the pose. So you can play with this by extending the front knee. That's going to make it a lot more challenging, and it brings an element of legs into this where you're using your quads. So you're going to do that on both sides, maybe holding ideally for 20 or 30 seconds, and then play with changing something, extending the knee or closing the eyes. When you're balancing, it's really important to keep your eyes in one spot and to keep your breath flowing. Try not to get frustrated. If you fall out of the pose or the balance, just come right back to it. No problem. That's why it's called practicing. Thanks, everybody.
So our last clip, we're doing some breathing. And if you want to do that with us, you can do this really easily sitting right where you're at right now.
Okay, everybody, last but not least, we're going to do some breathing together. I would recommend, as you're going through these exercises, to do the hardest exercises first before you get too fatigued, and the easier exercises more towards the end of your workout. That's true for all people, including professional athletes. When you're programming for them, they're doing the power lifts first and the easier exercises at the end. So we're ending with breathing today. We're just going to start with some full focus breaths. In yoga, pranayama is a whole practice of breath work. It gets really complicated. We're going to keep this simple for you today. Prana means breath or life force in the ancient language of Sanskrit that yoga is written in. So if you'd like to close your eyes for this, you can. Just flip your palms up so that you're just open and receptive to what's going to take place. Just take some deep breaths. In through the nose and out through the mouth. I like to close my eyes on this because it does help me to relax. Just feeling your neck, feeling your shoulders relax. Take one more exhale. And then just take a full breath in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth, let it go, letting go of anything you don't need. Full breath in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Keep going with every breath. Noticing how things begin to relax. Let's do one more full focus breath together. And exhale. The next one, let's put one hand on the belly and one hand on the heart. We're going to do some breath stacking. So now that you're nice and relaxed, you can close your eyes if it makes you feel better. Just take a deep breath in through the nose. Fully exhale, let all your breath go. You're going to breathe up just a little bit into your belly. Breathe into your mid-chest. Breathe higher. Feel your chest fully expand. Exhale, let it go through the mouth. Going again, breathing into the belly, mid-chest, heart space. Exhale, let it go. One more time, breathing into the belly, feeling the pressure under your hand, mid-chest, feeling the chest fully expand. Exhale and let it go. Your eyes are closed, floating them open, and just relaxing into your space, knowing that you did some good things for yourself throughout your workout and with your breath work. Thank you for letting Vanessa and I guide you through that.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.